Alright, so losers bracket game. This is going to losers bracket round 1. You can take a look at the bracket results on the link I posted in the stream chat. I'll post it once again. We're going to take a look at NoBo versus FSNG. So NoBo is the team that just put together a pretty good performance, honestly. They were really close to beating CG, so we'll see if they can actually take this game over FSNG to get through the losers bracket round 1. We'll sort of see if they go with the sort of same 4 protect 1 centered around anti-mage or a similar hard carry strategy that they pulled out in game 1. And my co-caster is Vanek. So Vanek, why don't you introduce yourself for like the 10th time, not on Skype.
For the 10th time today, I'm Vanek. Play a lot with Vikramond. We have some spirited debates about who is right and wrong about different strategies. As he'll be the first to tell you, he's quite often incorrect.
Oh, sure. I'll probably not be the first to tell you that. I wouldn't actually say that I'm going to be the first to say that I'm incorrect. But maybe, you know...
Not the first against the wall, not the first to say it's incorrect. Give me a heads up if you have a... if my mic threshold is bad.
It actually sounds really good. As long as you don't say anything too profane, we're going to be fine. Alright. So, we have actually started up into this, so NoBo, it turns out, is actually Noblesse Oblige. Pretty sweet name. I like when people don't go for the Latin, they go for another Romance language, so the fact that they've gone for the French expression, I strongly approve of. And then,
anything that's Romance, but not Latin is great.
Right, yeah, exactly. And FSNG... Yep, and FSNG for shits and giggles. So again, keep in mind, in this tournament, it looks like most usually we're going to have one team picking Radiant and one team picking the first pick, so in this case, Noblesse Oblige have the Dire side and first pick. They picked up the Magnus, strong option, definitely gives you a lot of team fight capacity. And FSG, meanwhile, it's interesting this ban out of anti-mage. This is definitely a targeted ban. You rarely see anti-mage ban this early, but I think some of the FSNG players were watching that last game with me and they saw just how far NoBo was able to get just on the back of that anti-mage.
5 seconds remaining.
People are saying you're a little quiet, by the way, Vanek.
Undying as well. I'm sorry?
The people are saying you're a little quiet.
Reserve time.
I'm a little quiet.
Yeah, so just turn yourself up just a smidge, maybe? Or, no, you know what? I'll turn you up don't worry about that. I'll turn you up a bit. Alright, don't worry about it. Just don't change your volume. I just don't futz around with it. I'll fix you. Don't worry about it.
I'm not going to touch my Windows settings.
Don't touch anything, then.
So,
alrighty.
First pick Windrunner for FSNG. Good support, good solo lane.
Yeah,
there's a lot
definitely.
of options open.
Usually you don't really need to pick up things like Windrunner or Shadow Shaman that early, just because it's unlikely that they'll be banned prior to even the second ban phase or banned at all. But maybe they have sort of a, like I said earlier before the first game, sometimes you go into these tournaments where you're going to be playing a lot of games, all best of 1 against teams you're not really that familiar with, and you don't really have time to scout out like particular things, so you just go with whatever lineup you're comfortable with. Like, you give your people their best heroes, you give them what they can actually do. And, you know, Windrunner is a hero that a lot of people sort of develop early on in their careers, and she happens to be a hero that, you know, scales all the way up to pro level. You still see her play at the professional level, great side lane solo hero. And so if it's one of your best heroes and you want to deploy it in a tournament, it makes a lot of sense. These two teams are both facing elimination from the tournament in this game, so you definitely want to, you know, rely on what you know. And if that's Windrunner, you use your Shadow Shaman as a strong supporter, even as the mid lane. We used to see Shadow Shaman solo mid, like, prior to TI2.
So what's the deal with picking a carry this early? I mean, I would expect FSNG could counter him, but...
Well, I think you pick a carry this early if, for instance, you saw that in the I don't know if you watched the previous game, Vanek, but these guys definitely run, or in the previous game, they ran a very tight 4 protect 1 sort of lineup. So if you know that the other team sort of knows that you're reliant upon one big carry, and they've already banned one out, and you don't pick one up in these first 3 picks, they could very easily, you know, spend their next ban phase targeting Void, Luna, and somebody else, and then you're sort of out of tier 1 carries. So if you want something like the Void, you want something like the Anti-Mage, you kind of have to secure it early if you can.
Sure. I don't know, it just seems like there would be more options, but there's 3 more bans coming out, I guess, so
yeah.
I can see it.
There definitely are a lot of carries these days that people are playing. There's like a wide variety in the carry slot where there sort of isn't in things like mid, things like side lane solo. But I mean,
yeah, I'd almost expect like a well, now I'm blanking on whom, but you know, a strong support presence. I mean, they got Lich, who, well, he's not really the strongest support anymore.
Well, if you want to win a lane, if you want to win a lane, And with Faceless Void, they do play this 4-protect one. Lich is the most defensive option you have. If you want the game to go long, you take something like a Lich, because you know that he's going to make sure that your Faceless Void wins the lane, get that dominance, get that sacrifice, make sure that whoever's opposing the Faceless Void isn't going to get really nearly as much farm as they otherwise would have, and just sort of debilitate them. It's also not bad against this Bounty Hunter, because when you run your Bounty Hunter in the side lane, all you're trying to get is XP, and Lich is going to cut the XP you get by 20% basically. So that's a substantial delay on Bounty Hunter's level 6.
That's true. Although they picked Lich before Bounty Hunter was picked, so
yeah, that's true. I don't mean that they counterpicked Bounty Hunter. I sort of just mean that it's a pretty strong option against Bounty Hunter.
Seems like a little. Yeah, I don't know that I would have picked Bounty Hunter if I was the captain, but then I'm not playing this tournament, so.
So what are the downsides? So they do need they have a side lane solo option, so they definitely could run the Bounty Hunter in alternative lanes. So what do you think they're actually going to do with this Bounty Hunter? Do you think they're going to run it as a farmer, or?
I think. Geez, I don't know. I would expect him to be off lane because Windrunner, she could, but if you're running a tri lane, I'd kind of want her in a tri lane over Bounty Hunter. Noblesse Oblige, they banned out Sven and Enigma notably. Sven would have comboed extremely well with Windrunner and Shadow Shaman because that's a lot of disable for him to stay, in melee range. So it's a little unfortunate for FSNG that he's not there. No Enigma is, one initiator gone, but...
Well, a lot of people will sort of take the Enigma to counter something like a Magnus, where they're like, oh, you have this really big AoE crowd control. If our Enigma avoids that, he can crowd control you right back. The downside of this approach, of course, is that Black Hole is about twice the cooldown of Reverse Polarity at max rank, but it's okay.
Right.
So now FSNG actually targeting some... I think they're trying to target stuff that they think would lock down the...
They got 2 jungles as well. Lifesteal... Well, not that you'd really jungle Lifestealer at this level.
You can sometimes. I've seen actually TC do it, but it's not tremendously common. But yeah, no, they're definitely taking out... I think at this point they want to sort of take out teamfight type carries and big heroes like Enigma so that they can really dominate, make sure the Faceless Void survives. Sven and Faceless Void kind of have this interesting relationship where if it goes very late, Void definitely has the advantage over Sven, but if it early on, Sven can get farm and really just overwhelm the Faceless Void early. And I think that's somewhat true of Lifestealer as well. These are sort of carries that they're banning out that peak earlier than the Faceless Void. And a Luna ban comes out. This is really interesting because I'm not sure they'd be very likely to run both the Void and the Luna, 2 heroes that require farm as heavily as those heroes do. But maybe they were thinking that they might run something like a Luna mid? But otherwise, I'm just not sure why.
Why wouldn't... I don't know. I think that... I don't know.
I think the issue for FSNG here is they just banned out one of the possible tools that they had to respond to this Faceless Void. Now, if they're relying on the Bounty Hunter as their farmer, maybe they don't really need the carry, in which case most of these bans actually by NoBo were actually somewhat wasted. But also, Bounty Hunter is a fragile hat to... Sorry, a fragile hook to hang your head on.
I'm a consummate Bounty Hunter player.
A consummate Bounty Hunter player. All right. We'll run.
I don't think I would use him as a primary farm. A position 1 as it were.
Sure.
For this team.
Sure. I mean, we'll see
I would think that would be the incorrect choice.
Right. Well, they do have a chance to surprise with the... And actually, we see the No Tidehunter style Gyrocopter here. This is interesting.
I like that pick.
Yeah,
okay,
someone noted in this correct that they took out the Slardar because they were afraid of Slardar versus
Just a ton of... Yeah. So they picked up a ton of disables and a ton of magic damage. Bounty Hunter is really their only, sort of carry option.
Of course, unless they run the Carry Earthshaker. Although perhaps the less said about Carry Earthshaker,
Carry Earthshaker is... Well, will someday be the new meta.
We have seen Carry Earthshaker... I should mention, in the interest of balance, that we saw him in reverse captain's mode from Navi. But and they're talking about the anti-mage ban. That's funny. Because, of course, they relied on anti-mage in their last big game. But everybody saw that, so they got perfect scouting information, essentially, on that.
Right.
And actually,
so notably, Bounty Hunter has the skull mask, which...
they smoked too early.
Yeah, they did.
3 other players are smoked and 2 aren't.
Yeah.
That's really unfortunate. It's gonna be tough.
And
Bounty Hunter does have the skull mask. I hate the skull mask. It's so scary. I just get terrified of it, really.
Maybe that's the signifier of what's to come for this Bounty Hunter.
That the bounty. Oh wow. But at any rate, this is an interesting game. We see NoBo definitely there. When you just come off a long game, I think you sort of just like assume, oh my god, all the games are going to be super long, drag out games. We should go as hard carry as we want. But also, if they have this 4 Protect 1 style, this is a fine lineup for it. The one sort of wild card is this Gyrocopter, which recently we've seen Gyrocopter sometimes being played as like a number 3 or a number 4. And then he sort of comes into his own later, sort of in the role that Sven is starting to play, where he's not your primary carry, but he's sort of a backup carry for if you can't just overwhelm them with your primary one. So Void obviously is the primary farmer, you see him up here in the safe lane, but then this Gyrocopter that they're running mid could become a threat later. Definitely the longer this goes, I think the happier NoBo are as they sort of accumulate the items they need on the Magnus, the Gyrocopter, and the Void, which are their core farmers.
They've got 3 different heroes which benefit hugely from farm, plus Leshrac, who, isn't, a position 1, 2, or maybe even 3, but he does benefit a lot from getting, enough items.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Where he can sustain his output.
Yeah, for sure. You see FSNG actually want to set up for a First Blood here. You see this Earthshaker hiding out. He's probably going to try to fissure block the Magnus and the Leshrac so that they can, well, they walked away. That's sort of the plan there, I think, so to get supremacy in this lane by using the Disruptor, Earthshaker, Bounty Hunter to deal a lot of damage and really zone out the Magnus and Leshrac and prevent them from getting their levels, especially the Magnus. The later the Magnus is going to hit 6, it's sort of like delaying a Tidehunter's level 6. He's just going to have a lot of trouble.
Yeah. But even still, I think FSNG, they can make it up easily, but they're a little behind right now because that gank, the smoke failed, so they weren't able to get a gank off, and as a result, Windrunner is super late to lane.
Yeah.
She's already behind. She'll be behind for a level pretty much the entire time.
Yep, and Lich Faceless Void is definitely
a 1v2 is not good.
Yeah. Windrunner is great at dodging out like damage that comes in the form of physical damage, but she's very bad. Actually, Leshrac in a lot of trouble here, but they missed the fissure. I don't think it actually landed a stun on them, so they might not have quite enough damage to actually do this. They're just getting a little bit of harassment. Actually, the fissure goes out. Great block here. Full block, and Leshrac is in a ton of trouble. The Bounty Hunter's still chasing him. He's going to try to get the stun out. The stun does land, so he might actually get it. Oh, Disruptor. Disruptor puts up the Q on him, and that's going to take down the rest of his HP, and that'll be the first blood.
So, like I was saying, they can make it up easily, and that helps out their tri-lane already. It's a little interesting that they're running 2 people bottom.
I think it's just that they think that because Lich almost like gives you the babysitting that you would want from a tri-lane, you no longer need to run 3 people there.
Right.
And Magnus has sort of faded a little bit as a solo laner, so they're just getting additional support there from the Leshrac. But I'm not sure it's working out quite that well for them yet. They're definitely not winning this bottom lane. The upside is this Faceless Void is getting very solid farm. Gyrocopter has total dominance in the middle. He's got 10 last hits to Shadow Shaman's 1. And so that's very comfortable for NoBo at this time. FSNG, really, there's a lot of pressure on them to end this early. They want to get that level 6 on Bounty Hunter as soon as possible, and then they just want to go around killing all of NoBo's heroes, because they really don't have that much scaling. Maybe the Bounty Hunter can get tons of damage items. But again, they're going to be in a lot of trouble once these big teamfight ultimates come online. Because what answer do they really have for Chronosphere? What answer do they have for Reverse Polarity? It's going to be difficult.
Reverse Polarity, not so much. I mean, they have options. They've got just a huge amount of disables, which I think
that's true.
can disrupt those 2 huge, teamfight spells of RP and Chronosphere.
That's true. If they don't get their heroes too caught out in something like a Chronosphere, they can definitely respond to it with a Shackle or a Fissure or Disruptor moves. They do have a ton of non-ultimate based disables. It's going to be interesting to see if they actually try to farm up the Windrunner and play her as sort of a semi-carry.
3 mid, looks like Gyrocopter is going to die here.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Unfortunate for him.
So that's a quick lead for FSNG, definitely doing well to sort of pressure NoBo early. Again, this has to be their game plan. They really don't have an alternative to just...
Disruptor and Earthshaker. Right. It looks like they're going to start roaming.
And I think that's very smart.
Because really, Bounty Hunter is it'll impact his farm if the bottom lane from Dire gets a little up in his face, but he can stealth, he can run away, and he's going a non-ganker build right now. He's got nothing in Shuriken Toss. Sure.
Oh yeah, sorry, you're talking about the skills. Yeah.
I mean, that's also true, but you know, he's getting max Janata and 2 ranks of Shadow Walk, so he's not going for the ganker role.
Yep,
which
he's
is,
definitely.
Which is
it's
what
interesting.
we would
yeah.
expect.
Yeah, but they
Lich
have
is
sort
in
of
trouble
reverted.
here.
Oh,
Lich gets
Lich just
latched,
gets big shackle.
bad fissure.
Yeah, unfortunately the fissure didn't block his escape, which is kind of too bad.
If you got it in front, that would have been a sure kill.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we just missed the kill of Gyro on Shadow Shaman.
Yeah, we're watching top. It's okay.
Action
So they have
all
sort of
over the map.
reverted to having the bounty hunter in the solo lane. Just it's the safe lane solo, and he's sort of ahead on farm, so they feel comfortable with this. The lane got pushed up a little bit too much, so that's unfortunate. So Magnus and Leshrac will be able to pick up some free XP. But still, this bounty hunter is very, very safe now. There's not a lot of likelihood until at least 6 for Magnus that he actually gets taken down. So they can afford to have the Disruptor, the Earthshaker, in a more roaming role to try to pick off kills in various lanes. I think at this point the worst situation for FSNG is the mid. Windrunner has found her poise a little bit in the top lane, especially now that Disruptor seems to be there semi-permanently. But this Shadow Shaman's really struggling in the middle. He's only got 2 last hits. He's level 5 to Gyrocopter. What is Gyrocopter? 7? 6. But close to 7. And has a haste rune as well, so you could definitely try to get another kill from that.
Gyro died, but he's doing pretty well. He's got 13 last hits, which isn't great, but
well, I mean,
could be worse. He's got his shield. He's got a bottle.
The important thing is that I think that he's ahead in the lane. He's substantially ahead
levels.
where Shadow Shaman is. Yeah, and ahead on levels as well. Shadow Shaman using the sweet new Mysterious Vagabond set from Polycount. He's got the little hat and stuff and all the scrolls. I like it. Classy.
I first thought it was like a cannonball from an angle.
On his head?
Well,
it's like a Dark Souls character.
Intuitively, or rather not intuitively, but from prior what it was.
Oh, they're gonna try again. Oh, that shackle doesn't quite latch. Good fissure, but there's a lot of damage going on in this Earthshaker. Big Gyrocopter
coming out from
turning this all the way around.
Turns it around. Yeah.
Wow, triple kill. That is a huge time for Gyrocopter to show up there with his haste rune. That's like enough for That's definitely gonna.
That was clutch play all the way.
And that's 3 present kills present for the Void as well.
Yeah, so we see a swing of nearly 1,000 gold. I mean, it's early game and there's not really anyone really ahead yet, but it was going, in the direction of FSNG, and now it's swinging back a little towards Dire.
Yeah, and I think it's also relevant to note, if you're FSNG and you're really relying on picking up early kills, every time something like that happens, especially early on, is just the time you have to win the game sort of constricts, right? Like, now we almost need to get a successful gank just to make up for the failed gank we just had, and then we still need more successful ganks to gain the advantage. So it costs almost more than is evident. What I wanted to say about Windrunner earlier...
level 6.
Sorry, go ahead.
They're going to set up a gank bottom.
We're going to track up on Magnus. They're definitely coming around.
Leshrac, sorry.
Big fissure, great placement. Kinetic Field actually doesn't end up doing very much. Will Leshrac get out? Does he have Shuri Toss? This is when you really want Shuri Toss.
He does not have Shuriken.
Right? Because it's got that mini stun. That's what you need to interrupt those town portals. And the inability to get that means that bounty hunter isn't going to develop that much faster than the Void. It's actually falling behind on last hits as well. What's our Void's build look like? He's actually on phase boots. This is fairly non-traditional, but it does give you that additional speed. If you only have 1 rank of time walk, so you can't actually get away that easily, it's good to have that additional skippability provided by the phase boots. You can see he's gone very defensive.
It's interesting. Why would he go backtrack? Yeah, he's got 3 instances of backtrack, which is a little weird given that they're doing a 2v1 lane against a Windrunner.
I mean, if their fundamental approach is just the 4 protect 1, they just want to make sure that at all costs this Void doesn't die. He's not going to be joining fights until way later, so it doesn't really matter what skills he gets.
Right.
But I think the other thing is, if you can backtrack something like a fissure, that's pretty good, right? Like, he wants the maximum chance to actually backtrack that if Disruptor and Earthshaker roam around and try to get him.
Right.
So just pure defense from really. Void, definitely. Bounty Hunter definitely has to be kicking himself for not taking that rank of Shuriken. That would have been an easy pickup on that Leshrac. It looks like he will...
This is kind of why I don't like seeing... Oh, there's a fissure on Gyro.
The fissure was barely enough.
We might see
to
Earthshaker
even
go down
Oh,
here.
Earthshaker
Yep,
might get to take a second hit of nuke. Oh, it catches him and clips just the corner of it. If he had just gone
on the
up.
edge.
Yeah. Oh man, that was close. He
That
could have
was
survived.
a great nuke from Gyro.
Definitely, extremely well placed tactical nuke from Gyrocopter there, and he's actually going to use the rest of this double damage to try to gank bottom.
To interrupt, Windrunner's about to die top.
Yeah, so she
Yep, she goes down. Chronosphere was used so that she was unable to run.
Stun's gonna go out on Bounty Hunter.
Windrunner was also down.
I don't think they have detection, so they can't do much about this. So the thing that it does is the rocket that comes from Gyrocopter, actually the homing missile will track the Bounty Hunter, or will track a stealth target, but when it hits them, it doesn't do damage or stun. It just sort of shows you where they are.
If you don't have vision of them, that is.
Right, of course. If you have vision of them,
I believe if you can see them,
yep.
You know, it doesn't matter whether they're invisible or not.
Yep. Including if it hits them during their fade time, I think. Like if they're fading but not actually invisible yet.
Leshrac does not have Edict, so you know they can't capitalize on that little push. But you know,
they sort of they went on for this lane. They had to play defensively.
Built to push.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree at all with his not getting Edict.
Right.
That was the correct choice for their lane.
Yeah, definitely. If you want more anti-push, Leshrac is kind of thing where you can use him as more of an anti-pusher or more of a pusher. And if you want pusher, you go the Edict. And if you want anti-push, you go the Lightning Strike or Lightning Storm. Trying to set up with the Earthshaker here. I'm not sure if Earthshaker knows that they know that he's there. They're definitely fissure on 2, but they're on the wrong side of it.
That's a Vanek style fissure right there. It's a classic.
Fissure. Is it?
Yeah.
Do you have it trademarked? Do you have the license to the intellectual property of the Vanek fissure?
I didn't register it, so I can't enforce my IP rights.
Right. It's kind of pernicious to try to enforce IP rights over techniques in Dota anyway. So.
Yeah. I mean, I could patent it, but then I'd have to hire lawyers and everything. You know, why bother?
Yeah, it's more trouble than it's worth, really. Just you should just comment, like, just make sure that you have like sort of the inverbal trademark of it by always mentioning that certain fissures are Vanek fissures.
Right.
And Gyrocopter's going on his trigger. Good defensive fissure.
Gyrocopter is getting in there.
Yeah, he is getting in there. He's pretty
he doesn't have any mana, so he's probably not going to be able to take out.
The stun will land. He doesn't have.
Here.
Oh, he could switch power treads. Actually, the stun was long enough. Oh, good job.
Wow, that was
6-1 on this Gyrocopter. And Bounty Hunter at this point just straight up trying to chase him down.
He knows this hero if he was willing to risk it like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Bounty Hunter can damage him, but again, Bounty Hunter doesn't have the mana to really sustain.
Yeah, I worry about Bounty Hunter's situation here because Gyrocopter can turn it around on him and use Rocket Barrage. He peoples off.
Right. And Bounty does not boots. He just bought boots.
He's trying to rush his Battle Fury, but it's an interesting choice because it really means that he's confident that he can sort of go toe to toe with Void a little later than maybe. If he can pop people like Void, people like Gyrocopter very quickly because he's got tons of damage, then maybe. But the issue is going to be
that's not going to happen, frankly.
Yeah.
I mean,
you can get to the point.
Void has backtrack, right?
Yeah.
And
exactly.
If you're a Bounty Hunter and he backtracks your Janata, you just lost that fight.
Yep.
Great
warding, actually, by let's note how good NoBo's wards have been. They've got one right here, so they knew that there was this triple threat coming with the Windrunner, Earthshaker, Disruptor, and they just pulled the Void all the way back while they teleported Gyrocopter in with a haste rune, by the way, so you might go in on this again. But they had the ward down here. They saw when Earthshaker was trying to make this approach, so NoBo essentially has like all these routes covered in terms of possible gank slots. And if you're the team on the defense, like you don't want to get ganked from various angles, it's definitely to your interest to place these really, really smart ward locations so you can see all these approaches in addition to having decent rune vision.
Wow, I cannot believe that latched. Unfortunately...
They do glimpse him back, so Lich is actually in a lot of trouble. But here comes the nuke from Gyrocopter and the Lich ultimate. Oh my goodness. Will the Chronosphere go out? He didn't have enough mana for it. It doesn't matter. 3 more kills.
Didn't have the mana. Doesn't really need it, although now Gyro is,
Gyrocopter
getting
is in a lot of trouble. These Shadow Shaman wards are going to do a ton of damage to him. Probably going to be enough to kill him. Unfortunately, Shadow Shaman actually gets stunned. Will the Chronosphere go out? Doesn't need it. First hit with the Maelstrom, enough damage to just take him down. Good fissure, but that's not going to be quite enough.
Did he backtrack that fissure damage?
No, he took the fissure. It just wasn't enough to actually kill him. The fissure is only rank 2, keep in mind, so it's only 175 damage. He can't actually get
Earthshaker, yeah, he is behind in levels because he was roaming so aggressively early.
And I think roaming was the right call. It's just when you roam and you end that roaming phase at 11-4 down, it's a really tough situation. Like that's exactly what you don't want in that situation. Shadow Shaman, though, pretty well developed for FSNG, considering how tough of a mid lane he had. He is level 10, so he's the highest level on his team. Bounty Hunter is up to level 8, so they're getting okay development in that respect. But again, Gyrocopter and Faceless Void, these two core heroes, are getting exactly what they want. Gyrocopter's actually moving towards a Shadow Blade, so that'll make him even more maneuverable, even more able to sort of initiate these fights.
Poor Leshrac just got glimpsed across the map.
Did he try to TP
he had ported in. No. He ported into the top tower, which is being pushed by FSNG, and Disruptor was having none of it and sent him back.
Right. Oh, Bounty Hunter's in a little bit of trouble. I don't think they have quite enough for him. Magnus did attempt to jump in there, but it wasn't quite far enough. Only level 2 Skewer only travels about 800 units of distance. And Earthshaker's come down here to defend this Bounty Hunter a little more. I think a big problem for FSNG right now is they need to get... They went all in on getting the early Battle Fury on this Bounty Hunter, and it's 15 minutes, and he's really nowhere near it. So he's really got to try to... Yeah. Well, actually, is the rest of it on the Courier? Okay, no, he's actually pretty close to it.
No, he's got a Void Stone on the Courier. I mean, he's close.
He's 1,100 away, yeah.
He really should have gotten his Perseverance done, I think, before the Claymore, personally, because he needed the mana more than he needed an additional 21 damage.
Right.
He was last hitting okay, and then in retrospect, it's kind of easy to say that because he didn't get any kills off.
Right. Oh, I missed 2 kills. It's totally my fault. We got a Void Chronosphere up at the top, and we got the Shadow Shaman getting picked up with a Gyrocopter. I think the story right now is this Gyrocopter pick is really it was really effective because he won mid. He's sort of threatened every lane. He's gotten 8 kills, and he's really everywhere. What he's doing is he's making them worry about him. And so they can't worry about Faceless Void at the same time, and so when they do fight Faceless Void, it's like a one-on-one, which is in Faceless Void's favor since he rushed this Maelstrom and has a Morbid Mask to show for it. Faceless Void at this point just has a huge advantage. Like, he's already up to about 7,000 net worth, so he's ahead of Bounty Hunter by about 2,700, and that'll set him up pretty well for going further in this, especially in these one-on-ones against Bounty Hunter. Unless Bounty Hunter was able to really ramp up his gold production, which he's currently not able to since they're shutting down this lane with a full
They're running a tri-lane basically against him.
Yep. It's going to be very, very tough for him to actually find his farm, and he needs to find that farm. He needs to finish that Battle Fury, or there's going to be trouble. Every time he just de-stealths, something like Magnus or Leshrac or Lich throw out spells on him. So they might almost want to switch his lane, because he's going to get levels, but usually you're happy with your solo lane Bounty Hunter getting levels, but not if you're relying upon him to do your primary farming. If he's just getting levels,
the problem is it's okay for him to just leech levels if he's getting track and then getting track kills.
He does get a one-shot on the track there. So it wasn't track, so that's kind of unfortunate. The Disruptor Silence is still active on the gold. Will he actually go
There's a fight between Gyro and Shadow Shaman. Shadow Shaman is going to die.
Oh.
Blue is ult.
Faceless Void actually picked up Windrunner on the top too. Kills all over the map. Gyrocopter, Bounty Hunter pushed his luck a little too much, and the Magnus Reverse Polarity actually picked him off. And now Gyrocopter is here to pick up the pieces, push this lane in just that little bit more. Earthshaker actually hiding out down here, seeing if he can sort of steal a kill a little bit later. But this Faceless Void at this point is very scary, because Windrunner keeps coming up here, and it keeps not working out for her at all. This is like the second or third time we've seen Windrunner just solo die to Faceless Void. Not even using his Chronosphere this time. Oh, there's a kill down here, actually. It's my bad. Kills all over the map here, and I'm just sort of like looking at the wrong thing. But Faceless Void now 6-0-1, and he's got his Mask of Madness. So that's going to be a big, big issue for them as well going into the
And he's got a banked 1,600 gold, so he's
well on his way to more
pretty
stuff.
Well ahead.
NoBo, meanwhile, totally pushing down the tier 1.
Wanting to kill Lich. He's so close.
Yeah,
but I don't
probably
think
could kill him, but the problem is that he
die.
would trade his life for it, and he's like, is it worth it to kill if I die? He's going to wait until they split up a little bit. Yep, there we go. He does get the kill, he pops himself into stealth, and they don't have detection. So good move by Bounty Hunter. He's getting there, he's getting closer to that Battle Fury. The problem is the Battle Fury this late when Void is already, like he already has his Battle Fury equivalent, he's chosen to go to the Maelstrom this game. You're already behind on the farm, and it's going to be harder and harder to catch up. And Gyrocopter is just that little bit of extra tankiness enough to not die quickly to the Bounty Hunter in the form of this poor man's shield.
Gyro does get off the missile, but he eats it pretty early.
Yep. Gyrocopter
Void's
finished with
coming
the
back
Shadow
in
Blade as
top.
well,
He
so
might
that'll...
be able to kill Windrunner. He wants. You can see top. He wants to.
He has enough for the Chronosphere, but not enough
Magnus
to blink and
gets
Chronosphere.
away.
That's going to be
Chrono
the
up
Windrunner dead
top.
right there. Yep, no question. I'm not even going to watch
Windrunner
it,
goes
'cause
down
it's just
again.
too easy for Windrunner to die. Back to the bottom, because basically what this is turning into is Void is farming Windrunner and the lane up top, and the rest of the both teams are fighting the bottom. Excellent placement of the Shadow Shaman wards there. That's enough for 2 kills right off the bat.
Those
I'm
are
not sure if
great.
either of them were tracked. Bounty Hunter is now chasing out on Leshrac, doing a lot of damage, but he has to peel back because there's still a tier 1 tower at high health here. And they turn them right around there. Shadow Shaman actually copying a little bit of damage as well from the Leshrac stun. So a couple kills, that's definitely good for them. But again, FSNG have to worry about it. If we have 4 people down here and 0 people top, what is the Void going to do to us in 3-4 minutes when he gets even more farm?
Radiant's top tower.
This point
Void
is
finished the
GPM
Demon
is-
Edge, and it's being delivered to him now, although a little
Ouch.
Radiant's top
scarily. If Windrunner was on top of that ledge, he probably would have seen the Courier moving. That would have been good for them, but...
Yeah. That Demon Edge is probably going to go, what do you think, a MKB, just so he can kill Windrunner through
Dire's
Windrun?
bottom tower is up.
Yeah, I would expect so.
That's going to be really
I mean,
tough for
what are
them
your
to
other
deal with, 'cause
options? Well,
yeah, you have other options.
with the
Chrysalis.
he could go Daedalus.
Yeah.
He could go yeah.
Daedalus.
But you would expect to see the Chrysalis first.
Yeah. He could go Rapier.
Typically.
He's 7-0-1.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
think he'll necessarily go Rapier.
It's weird. Like, why would he go Rapier and Gyro not go Rapier? I mean,
That's true. Well, I mean, he just has more farm. Gyro at this point has settled into
Gyro's,
full ganker
reason
role.
to exist.
Yeah. But Gyro only has 39 last hits. I mean, he's not farming at this
Oh,
point.
wow.
He's just trying to get kills. Which is fine. I mean, he's completely shutting down the Bounty Hunter. Like, Bounty Hunter has had so little development recently. He finished his Battle Fury, but... I mean, he's going to need a lot
It's interesting
more
that we didn't really see...
He's going to be
Bounty
killing
Hunter's
Leshrac,
going
probably.
for...
He does get stunned, and
Leshrac.
Magnus is right in there. Will he actually get that reverse polarity off? Not sure. Bounty Hunter once again sort of like, do I say? Do I go? He does get the one shot, but he has 7 seconds on his cooldown. That's going to be a dead Bounty Hunter.
And he's down. His Battle Fury is done, but he's getting kills without track, which is...
Right.
And dying, which is hampering his farm significantly.
As Bounty Hunter, you really want to be ramping that up, getting track on all of your kills in order to actually get that gold. That's sort of the theory of Bounty Hunter as your primary farmer, is that you get so ahead, and then you're getting compounding gold as you pick off the entire rest of the team, and you just get way more items than the opposing carry. But in this case, their problem is Void is almost done with his MKB. He's only about 1,000 off. I think at that point, NoBo will feel very comfortable just rolling over FSNG's base.
He'll be unopposable, really.
Yeah.
The only problem right now is he's got 1,000 HP.
Right. And they still have a
typically-
lot of disables. They can disable him all the way from 1,000 to 0 if they so desire. The problem is NoBo has just enough disruption that they can make that very difficult. If they jump a Magnus on top of you when you're trying to do that, then playing very
They tried to go on
defensively
Void
there.
top. Void ran. Meanwhile, mid tower drops.
I think NoBo are playing very, very smart here. They were ready to play the long game, and their draft was geared with a mind to playing the long game. But as soon as they seize an advantage, they're like, well, we have to go kill them now. Let's kill them now. There's really no reason to
That's
wait.
really where the gyrocopter
big disruptor
wild
silence
card
there.
comes in, because he's so
But
effective
not
at
quite
all
big enough.
time.
That Lich ult is going to only land on 2, so not too dramatic effects of either the Lich or Gyro ults. I'm not sure if NoBo are actually going to keep going with this. I think they actually do pick off the Earthshaker.
Now the
so that's a good
Earthshaker's
start.
dead.
But the Windrunner turns it right around. And then another great Shadow Shaman ward set. Shadow Shaman definitely the highlight of FSNG's performance so far in this game. Shadow Shaman's really able to get off those
Top is
crucial
about
wards
to
get a couple
go down.
kills.
Faceless Void is basically split pushing. You know, him alone and his team as 4. His MKB is done. Just needs to be delivered.
Yeah,
Gyro is
currently
hiding
what-
in the bushes.
Yeah, currently what
I don't know why.
What NoBo are, yeah, I think he's just waiting to try and get this Shadow Shaman. Currently what NoBo are doing is just, if we can trade 4v5, which we can because we're ahead, like, even if it's a 1-for-1 kill, we just generate more and more space for this Void to become unopposable, which he already basically is. We can get him even more unopposable. If they have another split push like that while they're fighting, that's going to be a tier 3 tower. That's going to be Void starting to take down the Raxes. He does a ton of damage at this point. And with Mascabatus, he has a ton of attack speed at this point.
Right.
I think we'll probably expect him to finish out his Mjolnir next, rather than build out another item. I think he wants that even more attack speed.
Gyro is going for this kill. He catches Windrunner alone. Could have got her.
Decides not to.
Probably didn't realize he was
Actually
out
pops
of mana.
Dust. I think so. Oh, he's trying to look for Bounty
Too
Hunter.
soon.
But Bounty Hunter is actually not
Yeah.
debuffed, so he's going to be fine. He actually has 6 seconds left on Oh, this is really dangerous. Never mind. He's going to get double stunned, and that's going to be a dead bounty hunter right there. Really good gank pulled
Bounty
off
got a
there
little
by
cocky
NoBo.
there. I don't know. Yeah.
I think because the dust missed, he was like, yeah, I'm going to stealth out of this easy. And unfortunately, he
But
didn't
he
quite
did
have time.
stealth, and...
Well, he was on cooldown. It was on cooldown. He had
see.
like 7 seconds, and by the time he died, he still had like 1 second of CD. Because gyrocopter can just deal
Okay.
so much damage in close quarters. Is the thing. Like that
Right.
rocket barrage, if it hits you for everything, that's like it's a shit ton of damage. How much damage
It's what?
actually is it?
It's 230 per second.
For 3 seconds, right? So
For
it's like
3
690 damage. That's a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Void just farming the FSNG Ancients right now. I think they probably have this more or less sealed up. It would be very difficult for, yeah, it's about 10k advantage gold, which is a lot of 24 minutes. FSNG's task right now is they have to locate and kill the Void, and then maybe parlay that into a couple towers. They really need a little bit of map control. Like, right now, Void is being a little dangerous in where he farms, but if he wanted to, he could farm in their top jungle area, like, trivially easily, and there wouldn't be any danger that they could throw out on him. I think once NoBo get Aegis,
Right.
they're just going to look to win, probably. They'll put the Aegis on Void and just charge in 5. They're going to join up for 5-man Dodo instead of just 4-man Dodo. FSNG do know that they're here, so we'll see if the Earthshaker can get a Chaos Dunk. If he just walks in unopposed, he could Chaos Dunk them, no problem.
Earthshaker gets a good fissure.
Yeah,
good
absolutely.
fissure, but...
He does throw out the
There's
dunk. It
the
doesn't quite
slam.
chaos. He kills Lich, but Faceless Void is in there. Faceless Void. These Shadow Shaman wards are doing nothing because they're under the Chronosphere. And Faceless Void picks up a triple kill right there. 10-0, 2,400
That's-
gold. And he's ready to wrap this up. He's ready to
All
just
the
chase
farm
down
going
this
to
Void.
Void from that was
Ideal.
the worst thing
essentially.
that could have happened. I mean, yeah.
And they've still got 4 people that they can finish off Roshan
Magnus
with.
Magnus survives
You thought
to
he might
chain
die
stuns
in
from
the fight.
Roche.
Right.
Well, it's may have happened in our games before.
Have you died to Roshan in our games? I think I've died at least once to Roshan.
I think
Oh!
all of us playing Ursa have died.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I've done on Ursa, but I do remember the very first time we tried to do level 1 Roshan Ursa Skeleton King, you and me. You, like, fucked it up completely.
I don't remember fucking it up. So
Oh,
I'm
man,
not to
you
say
fucked it
that
up
you're wrong.
gloriously. You totally fucked it up. I was so mad at you, too. I was like, God, Vanek, haven't you watched, like, the 20 instructional videos on how to do this?
And I was like, what is an instructional video? And then, we got it right after that.
We got it right after that, and this was like months and months and months ago, so it's fine. All right, so FSSG actually calls out the good game there. So that's probably, honestly, they had essentially no chance of pulling it back. I think Void has triple the farm of the next hero on the map, and yeah, like more than triple the net worth of any of the heroes in FSNG. So they put up a good fight. I think they had an interesting strategy of getting farm on the bounty hunter and trying to sort of roam, and I think the roaming was actually very, very smart. But NoBo just too composed, too good at playing that 4 Protect 1 with really good warding and vision, and they did exactly what they needed to do to protect themselves. And so they'll move on to the losers bracket round 2. And
They're asking admin, is this GG?
well, I'm not an admin, so I don't actually know. I'll find out.
What? I don't think there's any admin in this game, is there? I mean, it's not a big deal for them to stay, and it's just gonna take a few minutes.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
Type a little louder, why don't you?
I'm sorry. I'll still have to figure that out.
Shadow Shaman is
I thought Shadow Shaman actually did pretty well.
he's good at throwing out his wards.
Yeah.
You know, it
Go on.
well,
Use your words.
I'm stopping myself from saying that it was not over, but that FSNG was significantly behind when the draft was over.
Middle tower has fallen.
I think honestly they had their draft okay. The bounty hunter as primary farmer maybe is questionable, but I think they did the right thing with their draft. The issue that they had primarily was they just weren't able to convert the roaming into kills. They picked a strat that's
Right.
very difficult to execute, and you have to be extremely careful.
Middle barracks has fallen.
Like you have to
maybe
make
if
sure
they'd got
that
carry
early roam
Earthshaker
succeeds.
instead.
Maybe if they'd gotten
You know,
carry
swap
Earthshaker.
the bounty hunter and the windrunner. Put bounty in the solo lane
Solo,
top,
and
and
run
then
the Earthshaker as a farmer.
get all the farm on Earthshaker.
They actually did have a superior, like their try was definitely stronger than the 2 on the opposite side. So that is a possibility. Sure. The only problem is Carry Earthshaker is kind of terrible. This is the only downside to this approach. Is that
he's not actually a carry at all, which is the problem.
Right. But, you know, it's certainly an option. Interesting game, definitely. Fun to watch. I think after Gyrocopter was about 5-1, they were going to have a huge amount of trouble, because then they can't deal with the Faceless Void and the Gyrocopter contemporaneously.
I think if they had actually gotten kills onto Bounty Hunter bottom, that's really what it would have done it. I mean, to be properly fair to FSNG, if they had gotten, you know, like 2, maybe 3 kills on Bounty Hunter, he would have really gotten his Battle Fury done sooner and would have been able to do the snowball thing, which is what Bounty Hunter is supposed to do.
Yeah, I think if you were intending to build the Battle Fury, it had to happen at an earlier time, and the real key to that was going to be to get some track kills early. And even 1 rank of Shuriken, I think, would have helped a lot, because that would have gotten him that very first crucial kill on the Shrek that he just teleported out.
Right. And, like, you know, maybe another kill on, like, Magnus or something would have...
Yeah, maybe.
Ooh, really put him further behind.
Is he really going to just jump out? Come on now. You're not gonna die. Don't worry about it.
He has to kill the hut, and then...
Oh yeah, you gotta juke those GPM stats. Alright, so that's gonna be the end of that game. I think all the other games... I don't know if another game hasn't started. If another game is about to start, we can try to take a look at that, but I think probably all games are in progress by now.
Sure.
In which case, that's probably gonna be the last one of the night. And we'll resume sort of with games tomorrow. But I'm gonna take a quick look and see if there's anything starting.